Ladies love the skin.
Ow.
Bring it a little bit closer. The good skin, that is. That's why having a proper skincare routine is very important, and you need to feel the teach. The process is so easy, just 4 steps. You got your daily face wash. That's going to clean your face up nice and right. You got your exfoliator scrub. That's going to open up your pores. You got your AM moisturizer with the SPM 20, which is going to protect you from the sun. You also got your PM moisturizer, which is going to make sure your skin is protected throughout the night. Tej has tons of reviews from dedicated customers across the world. I know I said a lot, but it's okay, because guess what? It comes with an instruction card to explain to you in detail what to do morning and night. And because Tej is a sponsor, they're offering my family 30% off along with a free gift. Just click that link that's in the description and feel the Tej.
Maintaining your beard isn't just style, it's self-respect. A well-grown beard boosts confidence and leaves a lasting impression. Elevate your look. Embrace the importance of beard care today.
Going on, family? Welcome to King Talking. We're going to introduce the crew. We got Marcus White, Kyle Gorilla, Pink, Trev, Nelson, me, myself, and Lapeef. Welcome to King Talking. Lapeef Network. What's going on, family? What's going on? How y'all doing? Also got Mr. Shannon Ross.
What's happening? What's happening?
What it do? What it do? How y'all doing?
What up with it, boy? You sound like you coming down with something, G. You all right?
Who, me?
Yeah, you got some garlic, man. What you all right over there?
I'm all good, man. This is a change of temperature, that's all.
There it is.
Yeah, change the temperature a little bit congested, but I'll be all good. I'll be all right.
Right on, big brother, right on.
Right on. It's good to see you guys, man. Let me go ahead and get the housekeeping out the way. Shout out to the sponsor, TH Hanley Uncomplicated Skincare for Men, 30% off along with a free gift. That link is in the description. Also, you guys don't know, me and Sugar Girls have teamed up to bring you guys a Sure Man, Lapeef, King on top. Click that link that's to the top of the chat and go ahead and get your beard together, get your beard in order, and go ahead and get it right. Let's see. Get in the chat. Shout out to all my green gang. Miss Parker, I haven't seen you in a while. Miss Parker, back to the basics in the chat. Joe Lee, what's going on? AP, the accountability partner. BZ, formerly Baby Zaddy, is in the house. Really, I already set the tone. Good to see you guys. Grape Tea News. I haven't seen you before, so shout out to you. Got the popcorn ready. It's going to be a great show. This is going to be a great show. I also invited Nelson tonight. Nelson, you want to go ahead and give your credentials just so when you speak and they can have a little bit of background about yourself?
Yes, I'm a licensed professional counselor, so I do private counseling for individuals, families, groups, married couples, relationships, the whole nine. So I run my own private practice out in New Jersey, and that's about it.
Okay, we're going to see if we can get your mic to kind of crank the mic up a little bit. Yeah, you're kind of low.
It's a little low.
Just want to make sure we get you right.
Is that better?
It's better. It's a little, especially muted between. It's a little feedback that I'm hearing, like a little kind of buzzing noise.
I'll work on it.
Okay, but I can't hear you. All right. So with that being said, I'm sorry. What was that, Hank?
You said y'all got a feedback?
No, it wasn't you. It was coming from Nelson. We was doing the sound check with him. All right. Let's go ahead and make sure you hit that like button. And then also make sure you subscribe to the channel, set that notification to all so you guys do not miss some of this great content that's coming. We're going to go ahead and just try to stall a little bit, let Shannon Ross get set up. You good, Shannon? Mic check. Okay. All right. Marcus, you good with that stand over there?
It's going to do what it do for right now. Shit, we'll see.
Okay. Let us know. Let us know we got to get a stand over there. Rilla.
On purpose. What's up?
I know. Another day in paradise, man. Another day in paradise, man.
What hoodie is that?
Polo.
Mm-hmm. All right, you one of them low lifes. Okay. I see. Shout out to the low life.
I think this polo might be older than you, Rilla.
Oh, Isaiah, shout out to the low lives. That's what's up.
Yeah, had it Polo probably over 20 years. So,
Hey, you know that's a whole culture, like low lifes and polo, man. They be having like polo day in New York. See who got the freshest, most authentic, most original pieces. Like it's a whole culture.
I never knew that, man.
Oh, it's insane. It's some low lights here in Chicago that's pretty heavy in it too. But yeah, shout out to Polo and the low lights. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get the show started. You guys seen the title, Getting Men and Women Back on the Same Page starts with understanding. It starts with understanding. You want to do a mic check again, Nelson?
All right, that better.
Keep talking.
Test 1 2 test.
It's almost like you got that filter on, like you got that like noise cancellation on. So if you're not speaking, I think with those mics, you got to speak directly into it. I think so. You might have to adjust it. So
nah, he need to add a cloud lifter or that mic is not even the mic that's working. It may be something else.
Oh, it sounds like something else.
Check your routing on your mixing board. That's an SM7B. So just check the routing and make sure it's coming out because it's real low.
Tap it. Make sure. Tap it real quick. Just go like that.
Oh yeah. So it's routed. It's just not. You need to turn the gain up.
All right. Test 1 2. Still low?
It's coming in. It came up some, but it's got like a feedback.
I'm gonna go offline for a minute. I'm gonna change the mic out.
Okay, I'm not sure if it shouldn't be the mic, right? It's probably just whatever he's feeding into, right?
Yeah, it's whatever he's feeding.
I'll just try to change the mic out, see if it's any better.
Okay. Yeah, AP says better with a buzz. All right, I guess we man, I know Luis supposed to be pulling up too. I got a video I want to play, but I don't want Nelson to miss it.
Small talk. Icebreakers. What we doing?
I don't think I prepared for this one, man.
No, I'm still watching.
Okay.
Was that any better?
Nah, it got worse.
Yeah, you gain. It's loud. Just turn it down some.
All right.
It's way loud now. Like it's
test 1 2.
A little more.
1 2. Test
A
1 2.
little more up or down.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
That's pretty good. You're just gonna have to kind of like mute up every single whenever you're not talking because you can hear you. It's just a little bit of feedback.
All right.
I mean, but that is better. No. I think that's better than what it was, right?
Yeah, it's definitely better than what it was.
All right. Okay. I just got to get set up. All right.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go ahead and get it started then. So I pulled this conversation from Alan. Have some great conversations. We need to talk. So make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to his channel and give him some support. I was trying to figure out which one I wanted to start with, but I am going to start with this one, which he's having a conversation with a young lady. And I think it's an excellent conversation. And I want to break this dialogue down. But one of the questions that he asked second, but I'm going to put it first is, what is the importance of having a conversation to get men and women back on the same page? I'm going to play this clip and then we'll go ahead and break it down.
What is talking going to do about this, man? Because you got, 687 videos? We've been talking.
I got a couple of videos.
We've been talking, man. What is the importance of conversations? Do you think that could be enough? Do you see it as a first step? Is there a logic behind it?
For me, I think the more than talking and communication, for me, it's about understanding. Because to your point, I think a lot of people talk, but if they're not being heard and if they're not approaching it with the right energy, it's not going to be productive, right? So for me, a lot of these conversations that I'm curating, it's less about whatever is being discussed, and it's more about like the optics of black man, black woman, or black men, black women, having conversation in a way where the men are open to understanding the female experience, the women are open to understanding the male experience, and people can see that we can do it, right? Even this, the goal of this is for black men and women in whatever settings that they find themselves in, maybe cosplay what we're doing, right? Like find a couch, whether it's blue or whatever, sit down and talk and ask questions and center the other person and listen to a perspective that you might not understand, you might not agree with, but it gives you a more well-rounded idea of what we're up against.
So I wanted to start it off because we always have these conversations back and forth on YouTube in particular, because that's the space and bubble that we are in. And one of the things that I often speak on is we need understanding. We need understanding from both sides. And then one of the key things that he said, that you have to be able to listen to understand what it is that people are feeling on the other side and vice versa. So let me just get you guys' thoughts opening up with that. Anybody can go ahead. I don't have to call on one by one, but anybody that wants to add something to it.
I'll 100% always. Because when I hear the language, I hear how men speak and how women speak in general, right? And one of the key things is like a lot of times men don't seem to want to engage in the nuance, and women don't seem to want to answer as direct as men want the question answered. So between those two things, there becomes a communication block. And then it comes off as the other person is lying or the other person is being cantankerous when they just trying to communicate from the format in which they understand things best. Like when I'm trying to deliver a message that's strictly for women to interpret, the men is going to hear it away. And adversely, if I try to deliver a message to men that I know women is going to interpret, they're going to hear it away. And I only delivered 2 messages, but in each of those times, 4 different messages was received. And one of the things I've been trying to work on is how to make it cut down the middle so both men and women can interpret it somewhat similar. And then it may come off on the side of more female-centered communication or male-centered communication, because it's really a razor-thin line. But that's really the hardest thing, because understanding how to do it, I could listen to somebody's communication and see exactly where they're going wrong with it, then try and explain it. The difficulty is in trying to explain it to somebody with a male hearing ear, what the female is saying from a female perspective, to get it to translate. It's almost like sending it to Google Translate from Spanish to English and then back into Polish to try and make that Polish become English, if that made sense.
All right. Go ahead, Trev. What are your thoughts about it?
So I think Marcus is certainly onto something. That was the part that resonated with me the most from the video, is the communication barrier and the lack of perspective, right? As many times, because as humans, it's our nature to be selfish, right? Most of the time when we go into a relationship, we're not getting into a relationship to fulfill the other person's needs. We're getting into a relationship with that person because we want to fulfill our needs. It's not often that me as a man is going to look for him like, what could I do for her to make her better? That's just not how it goes, especially initially. You might grow love for that person at some point in your life, but that's not our initial intent, right? And we don't listen to each other. Once somebody's like, I know a lot of us, we try to talk to women, but they can't hear us, right? A lot of times they want us to talk and they say you don't talk, but when you do talk, they don't listen. They're finishing your sentence before you even get the full sentence out. They feel like they know what you're going to say and know where you're coming from. And it comes to a point where they're pretty much arguing with themselves, right? And there are some men who do that as well. And we don't really encourage each other that much in general, like even in these spaces or when we're in private, we listen to our friends' gripes and we only view that perspective, right? And we tell them to act on what it is that we think, but we didn't ever hear the other person's side. So how could that person ever realize where they're going wrong? How could they improve in the relationship if they're not getting any support from anywhere? So I think that the main point is our communication is just busted right now.
All right. What about you, Rella?
So let me throw this out here. I think it's a waste of time trying to be on the same page as women. It's hard for me to say that. I've been told all my life that's not how it should be. Like right now, even the question says, should men and women get back on the same page? We never was on the same page ever in history. In no time in history was men and women on the same page. And I wish I had an OG tell me a long time ago that it would have been a waste of time, because is for the last 3 decades, I've been trying to, do you guys remember when people used to say, man, what's the most important thing in a relationship? Communication. We were saying communication for 30 years. Now we're saying different things, understanding or listening or patience. But it used to be communication was the biggest response to that question. What's the most important thing in a relationship? In having a conversation, men and women getting on the same sheet of music to be on the same page is not necessary, because men do not, like Trev said, men and women speak 2 completely different languages. What's important, in my personal opinion, is what's the goal? What is the objective? In a husband, and mind you, I've been married twice and divorced twice. What is the objective in your union with your girl, fellas? Since this is King Talk, what is the purpose? What are you guys trying to achieve? If you, in the film industry, I don't need my grip and electric department to understand my wardrobe department. They work in harmony. They work together to make a great movie. But the grip and electric department has certain skills and knowledge and expertise, and wardrobe has a different set of skills, and they know what they're doing, and they know what they're doing, and they come together and they make a great movie. Let me use it like this. Forget the film industry. Football. I don't really watch professional sports, but football. The running back doesn't need to really know the details and the ins and outs of the wide receiver. The running back needs to know how to be a great running back. The wide receiver needs to know how to be a great wide receiver. Do they need to communicate with each other when they're running plays? Probably not. They know where they need to be. But what's the goal? A touchdown. So being the leader of your household, gentlemen, you need to be able to communicate to your team. You got to know how to tell the, you got to know how to run a play. Tell your running back where they need to go, the wide receiver, explain, be able to communicate to your entire team so you guys can move the ball down the field. But being able to have some sort of same page, be able to be in synergy. You understand what I'm saying. I understand what you're saying. I think that is a complete waste of time. And it's because I've tried it with so many women for so many years. And we've sat down, and I've gone to counseling, couples counseling. I've sat down with pastors, and I've looked at, and this is of course that's anecdotal, but when I look at other relationships, it's a completely different. It's a miss. And so what I think would be better, even when we talk about, like, we look at Instagram and the fact that women want to have a lot of attention. And a lot of guys don't understand that. Or we could tell women, we want all natural. We want you to be all natural. We don't like the weaves. We don't want the BBLs. And women are not hearing that. We could say it direct, but as far as they're concerned, they're not hearing that. But in their mind is, yeah, but you're liking all the girls on Instagram that got the weaves and got the BBLs, and you're giving her all the attention. So what we're saying is not landing, and what they're saying is not landing. And what needs to happen is, what are we trying to achieve in a relationship? And if you guys can get on the same sheet of music in terms of what you ultimately want out of your relationship. And then you do what you do best for us to get there. And I do what I do best to get there. And then if you are truly the quarterback of your relationship, and you don't have to, you don't have to do the same kind of strength training that the quarterback doesn't have to do the same strength training that the tackle does, but you guys ultimately figure out how to make scores in your relationship, in your life, in your finances, in your kids, the way your kids go to school, how the kind of education that your children are going to have, the religion that your family is going to praise and pray to, then I think that things would be better. But right now, I think men and women are wasting their time trying to understand each other and try to figure out what she really wants. And then a man being a man is trying to kind of get in her head and doing all that shit. You're going to end up wasting. You're going to get frustrated as fuck. I can tell you that right now, fellas. That's going to drive you nuts. She's going to be frustrated. And then it's going to be a whole lot of time wasted. And then ultimately, imagine if you did that for 10 years and then people are getting divorces at 20 years, 30 years. And you say, damn, I just want to throw in the towel now because that feels like you just wasted how much time trying to understand somebody you never was meant to understand to begin with. So that's just me. I know I'm long-winded, but I just really wanted to say, getting back on the same page with women is a waste of time for men. Men just need to lead and know where they're going. Find a woman who wants to go there with you. You guys put your expert skills together and make the touchdown.
All right. Go ahead, Hank.
Shannon, for the record, a running back got to know what a receiver is, especially on pass blocking plays.
Yeah, he got to know what a receiver is, but he don't have to understand how a receiver gets there. He got to know where he's at.
They kind of do though, Shannon. I promise you.
Well, I was a quarterback in high school. I had a completely different. My playbook was different.
I got you.
Yeah, and make no mistake, and go deeper than the surface of. I just need the quarterback needs to know how to quarterback. Go deeper than the surface of, well, I need to know where. Yeah, I know he needs to know where he's at. He's the quarterback, just like a man is the leader of a household. He needs to know where his children is and where, but he doesn't have to be he doesn't have to communicate the same with the strength training coach. And I think you understand where I'm trying to explain, because I really don't give a fuck about sports. I try to use that for people that do.
Nope. I got you.
But,
I got you, bro.
Yeah. Go deeper than that. Quarterbacks need to be great quarterbacks. Wide receivers need to be great wide receivers. And in training, they are doing their thing, and then they're on the other end of the field doing what they're doing. And they're training separately and coming together to make a great play.
I got you. So, according to the state, what I guess you're looking for as answers, JR, is I think we do need to have conversation now. I agree with part of what Shannon's saying. Do we have to be completely on the same page about everything? No, we don't. We can agree to disagree, but we got to be, as long as we're respectful towards each other, I can rock with that. But part of the conversation that men should definitely have is in the beginning, to know what you're about to invest in, to know what you're about to get into. I need to let them know what my standards are, my expectations, what I'm looking for, just like she wants to let me know what she's looking for. So, for example, I'm looking for a woman who's down with one pot. A couple women ran into it. They not with that. They can't see that. I want my money is my money, your money is money. Okay, cool, move on. But just like her standards is to be married. Okay, if I'm not okay with getting remarried, then I can't rock with that woman. So, we need to know what each other's expectation is. I think it's probably the most important in the beginning. Now, we're going to figure it out somehow, some way throughout the relationship between me and her, though. Everybody's not going to be involved in the situation. I talked about it last night on Pressure Show. I'm not allowing everybody to get involved with our relationship. This is not for your sisters, your friends, your best friends, your auntie, your grandma, nobody. It's me and you. We're going to figure this shit out. Now, If we can't figure it out between me and you, we're going to go to marital counseling. And that's going to be our third party. You know, we're not going to allow you to go over and tell your mama, you know, he ain't shit. He did this. He didn't do this. I go for dinner for Thanksgiving. They look at me 10 karat crazy. Why? Because you done told a bunch of bullshit. But now we back good. But after I figure out why they looking at me all crazy, now we bad because now I got a problem with you. Why we go talking to your goddamn mammy? That heifer don't need to know our goddamn business. It's not that. So let's keep the conversation within the frames of the family and make sure we can have the conversation in a respectable manner.
Go ahead, Rella.
Dang, I got to echo somewhere. Man, shout out to Shan. Shan, one of the OGs in this space, man. Shan is a big bro. In the time that I've been on this panel, it's rare that I agree with him. But Shan, I couldn't keep up with where you were going with what you were saying. Some of it I agree with, but then I was like, okay, well, wait, what are we saying? So here's my thing with it, right? All of these conversations are relevant and important. A lot of the discourse that's being had in the public eye, a lot of us, myself included, weren't really aware of how bad it is out here, right? Some of us didn't even understand how delusional our sisters and brothers, including self, are till we look at other people because they're having a conversation in the public eye. So we get a better understanding. Me personally, the business that I deal in, I have to be empathetic and understand. I have to step outside of self and put myself in somebody else's shoes, like what I do day to day. Also, when we're considering leadership, right? Part of that is considering the other side, right? Now, here's the other thing, Shan. When we talk about being on the same page, I didn't take it as men and women being on the same page in terms of men trying to align with women, because most of the time, what are men asking for? Cooperation, the buzzword submission, which means really you requesting that she be on your program, be on your page, right? So when we talk about men and women being on the same page, like say for my wife, right? Like I need to understand her. I need to understand what motivates her, what moves her, what pushes her buttons, how to have these conversations with her to generate a corresponding action, right? So some of what you were saying, I agree with, but I think the bigger part that I disagree with is that these conversations are a waste of time. I think these conversations are relevant. I think they're necessary. And shout out to Dr. Alan Obi, for doing the work. I see you to step that production up. Shout out to him for doing the work and having these conversations to really show and showcase even when we see women being delusional in his space, sometimes you still see him holding the conversation in a very, very classy way where you can digest it. So I think all of these conversations are relevant. I think there's a lot of chew the meat and spit out the bones with it, and I think they're very necessary. Still, I think the next step though, Shan, we got to put some action to it, bro. We got to see more action in 2024, and less jaw jacking and slacking around this, man. We got to see more action.
Get my opinion on it. I think the conversations are necessary. I don't think you have to force anybody to do something that they don't want to do. But it kind of reminds me of somebody that has good character and integrity. They're the same way across the board, like no matter what, and they're going to still respond the way that they do because that's just who they are, right? Same thing with these conversations. You're going to have to continue keep having these conversations, and whoever wants to latch on to it, then they can, and other people, they're just not going to receive it or they don't want to hear it. So somebody got to be doing something. And whether sparking the conversation may have some type of influence or even a thing. People always look for solutions all the time, but I don't think every conversation is warranted a solution. Sometimes just highlighting something may make you think on it as far as what's going on inside your household or what's going on with your children or your kids or your husband or your wife. So I think having these conversations, it can be a plus. And if it doesn't apply to you or you don't like it, then you ain't got to listen to it. You can just turn it off. It's not like you're being forced to do it. So I think people be making such a big deal about podcasts. It's like people doing what they want to do. If find out what you want to do, find out what you want to listen to, and then just keep it pushing. You ain't gotta keep down to people for just having conversations. I mean, what's the difference from you having a conversation with somebody on the phone or you guys gossiping at work? The only difference is we just got a camera and a mic. So I think conversations are good, and you have seen some changes. I've heard people emails and DMs about how much they've thanked just the Lapeef Network just for doing some good things beside them homes. I mean, we even got some people married just by they would have never known each other. Think about how everybody are coming together, collabing, just doing things. So there is some good in it. I won't just say that it's all negative, but you got to be able to look past it. But some people just want to be negative all the time, and them folks who just leave it where they are. I'm gonna keep staying positive and always look for the positivity in things and instead of negative. So keep having those conversations. I think having honesty, because if you think about it, the world is constantly shifting. You look at the Walgreens are closed and McDonald's are closed. We probably would have never seen that. The only toy store, the only place you can get toys is from Target and Walmart for the most part. I think they got a pop up Toys R Us somewhere, but the world's always changing. So I think this is another way that we can stay aware of things because we are changing and we don't even realize that we are changing. And so I think having these conversations about what's going on within our households and how we feeling, I think it is necessary because it can help somebody. It may not help everybody, but it can help somebody. But that brings me to Nelson. Nelson, I've seen you in the chat a few times, and I know that you're pretty hard on people like Mr. Let Go because you don't really think he's qualified to be giving information, and some of the other people on the panel. I'm curious to get your thoughts. I got you up here. How do you see everything that's going on as far as relationships? I know you see people often in the work that you do. What are your thoughts?
First of all, is my mic a little bit better, or at least usable?
Yeah, it's better.
So I think we lead. So first of all, I am hard on the people like Mr. Let Goes because, as counselors, I'm trained to listen to what the deeper message is, and based off some of the messages that I've heard before, I'm not gonna say something too wrong, but there's just a lot of bad information given. You really got to be qualified to start digging into people's marriages and their relationships and telling them how they should function and like how to improve their relationship. Like that's just my opinion on it. I think that we lead, and I'm sure everybody's heard this term before, that you lead with your insecurities. We do the same thing in terms of like when we're dating and we're with someone, we filter all of our conversations through the things that we're insecure about. So you take a guy who is he's insecure about himself, low self-esteem, and he ends up dating a headstrong, more aggressive type woman, one that looks like a strong, motherly type figure who kind of like takes the lead on a lot of things. Well, he's getting with her based off his insecurity when his true desire is to be the leader of the house, to kind of make the decisions. You start getting into these clashes about whose will is stronger. Well, I think things should be this way. I think these things should be this way. So it doesn't work if you don't get with someone that is based on what you are truly looking for inside of the other person. People coming into my office, I see that all the time. If it's not coming into counseling because somebody cheated and now y'all got to work through it and learn how to forgive, it's most of the time it's about that imbalance in relationships where you got the strong black woman trying to get her husband to take the lead, but he's a mama's boy, so he doesn't know how to do that, and he doesn't have the room to do that. He doesn't have the room for error. Like it is a lot of that type of stuff. So the communication piece, to me, is for the couples that get together based on what's truly, the true things that bring them together, not the insecurities. So I just think that a lot of the relationships that we're seeing in this day is just they're built on the things that we're insecure about. We get with them based off of that, and then we run into a whole bunch of problems when we try to exert our will or when we try to actually head in a direction because we yoked up with the wrong person to begin with.
Okay.
You know what? You know what? I actually heard something different. And Shannon, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when I heard you say what you said, it sounded like he was pretty much saying that people should understand the assignment, right? And a lot of times people just don't understand the assignment. And as far as some of the conversations being a waste of time, that could be the case. And I'll tell you why. There are some people who just won't work together, right? And it's not going to work because you are you, this person is this person. But it goes back to what Hank was talking about in the very beginning. A lot of men spend so much time courting, but no time vetting. In the beginning, you have to let the other person know what you're about. You have to let them know what your expectations are. You have to be vocal about it. You have to be yourself. It's so easy to be yourself. It's so refreshing and therapeutic to be yourself. If you just go out there 100% yourself, there's no you'll feel so good about it because they're going to know you. They're going to know what to expect of you. You don't have to perform. It is hard to perform. And somebody is going to actually appreciate you for what it is that you are. But you have to do that from the very beginning. You can't do this performance because it's not sustainable. That's just what it is. And a lot of us don't do that. We're going to have to spend more time vetting in the beginning and stop looking at women for their beauty. Just like we make bad decisions, they look at men sometimes because of the way they look or because of the get, and they're going to end up in a bad situation because they really can't get along with this person. They really don't have the same values. They don't have the same moral, have the same wants and likes and goals. So we got to do better at our vetting.
So we talk about that vetting process. I think the problem sometimes is we don't know what that looks like in practice. So, normally you see people asking questions like, well, can you cook? Are you willing to submit? You want to see them when they're angry. How do they act when they're angry? But like, what are the real things that we need to know about this person to know if, like, can we take the worst side of them when we start to see the real ugly that comes out? Is that something that we can deal with? So I think one of the big problems is we talk about vetting, but in practice we don't know what that's like. So one thing as like a counselor that I try to get people to look at is like biopsychosocial spiritual. What's the person's health like? How are they eating? Like, do they have a strong diet? Do they have like a workout plan? Are they normally fit, or are they trying to conform themselves to how they think we should see them? Psychological, do they think right? Do they talk about the right things, or are they always gossiping? Are they always into something? Socially, do they have friends? What do they have? Female friends? Do they have male friends? What's their interactions like with their friends? Mental health side, what do they have? A family history of depression? Do they have a family history of bipolar disorder? Like, what types of things do they deal with in their family? If they got a family history of depression and you get with her a year down the line, you start to find out she suffers from depression, that's going to make the outlook of your relationship look completely different. And then spiritual, like, are you both believers, or what is it? What does your spiritual practice look like? Because you shouldn't be with somebody that doesn't align with where you're trying to go in God if that's not what she wants. So we just need to look at the criteria, nail the criteria that we're looking for down, and learn how to ask the right questions and listen for the right answers.
I like
So
that.
I love everything you've been saying. I always talk about the imbalance of power, because essentially a lot of these relationships boil down to power dynamics, people competing, like you said, for who's going to lead. And if men naturally want to take that role, you've got to identify who you are, what you're strong in, and find somebody that could be the counterpart to that, as opposed to not knowing who you are, pretending to be someone to get someone, then dealing with the recourse of the person who you pretended to be actually being the person that they're dating. Now she's mad, you can't be yourself, and now y'all fighting all the time, and y'all just continuously fighting all the time. What I was gonna say? Damn, I lost my train of thought. Hold on, come right back to me, because I had a point. Come right back to me.
Let me throw this out here real quick, JR, because everybody mentioned my name except for Nelson. What's up, Nelson? It's good to meet you, brother.
What's going on, Stan?
So there's a term called lost in translation. It's how we've got this. Some people argue that's how we got into World War II. It was a lost in translation. There's a movie by Sofia Coppola, who's Francis Ford Coppola's daughter, called Lost in Translation. And that's what I believe is happening with men and women. We are lost in translation, trying to get it. So a few things: being polite and being polite is having good character. I'm not saying be asshole. I'm not saying that you got to bark and yell at people. We need to be polite, because that makes you a good person of character, and it makes you, a kind person. But we're talking about being on the same sheet of music as women. We're talking about being on the same page. Does your woman care how the car works? Does she care? Most women don't care how a car works. Now, I know, and most of you brothers probably understand how an internal combustion engine works. You understand tire pressure and how important it is. You know what a spark plug does. You go ask your girlfriend, what does a spark plug do? She'll look at you crazy, and she doesn't want to know. But far too often, and I'm just using that as an example, far too often men are trying to explain how a car works to a woman. And that's just an example, just a microcosm of what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. Trying to explain to her and get her to understand how the car works is a waste of time. She just wants to make sure it works. You know how it works. She doesn't care. She just wants to make sure that it works and it's safe. JR, you said we got to continue having these conversations. To what end? That's what I mean by it's a waste of time. That's what I meant. Why do we need to have these? Why should a man continue having these conversations with somebody who naturally misunderstands him? It's to try to, because at that point you get to the point where you're forcing a square in a round hole. You want to get in. That's where the arguments come. That's where the fighting comes. You don't understand me. You snap back every time I say you just listening to react. We know all the, like Rilla said, we know all the cliches and the buzzwords. But oftentimes because she's forcing you to get what she's saying, and you're forcing yourself. You're forcing her to get what you're saying. Really, you spoke on leadership, but really, you know that most bosses do not know how to do the job of the people that's under them. They know how to lead. They know how to give direction. They know how to administrate, but do they know how to drive the forklift? Do they know how to sell the jewelry? I'm talking about the main boss. Maybe the lead does, or the supervisor, but does the store manager know how to really sell? Maybe not. Oftentimes that's not the case. Elon probably doesn't know everything about making an electric car. He gets the smart people that do. Doesn't make him a less leader that he doesn't know how to, make a certain thing work in a Tesla, but he's still a great leader. So all I'm saying is, men, you do not need to get your woman to understand you. It's a waste of time. What she needs to do is believe in your leadership. Do you know where we're going? Because this is the goal. Are you with that? Yes, baby, I'm with that. That's where we're going. Do you believe that I can get us there? Yes, baby, I believe that you can get us there. Then let's go. She doesn't necessarily need to understand the ins and outs, the nuances, the way that you're going to make it happen, how you going. All you need to do is say, baby, I got to make this move. And if she's with you, cool. But if she's out there questioning, well, I need to understand, well, how come you did this? And wait, how come? And then next thing you fighting and you're arguing and you're just trying to say, God damn, this is what we need to do. You'll never make the touchdown. Because she wants to do it her way, and you want to do it yours.
So
okay, so
things I can agree with you on about that. But when it comes to finances, I have to explain that because it's our money involved in this situation. We making certain investments. We making certain decisions. I can't just go out there and willy-nilly and not have her be aware of how this thing's going to work. I got to do my best to dumb it down if that's what I need to do to make sure she understands financially. This is what we're going to do. This is what we need to do. These are the investments that I want to make. I'm gonna give you the blueprint, a syllabus on what I'm doing. You know, I'm gonna try to explain it as best I can. If I can't, we will get a financial advisor to explain it a little bit better than I can. But I have to communicate that to her. You understand
Hank,
what I'm saying?
do you trade stocks, Hank, by chance?
Yes.
Are you in the stock market?
Am I good at it? Well, I ain't gonna say that part.
Do you trade stock?
Yes, sir.
Does your woman need to know how you trade stocks? Know when to short, when to purchase, when to drop? Does she need to know the way you know it?
Probably
now. I
not
understand you saying, "Look, baby, this is what we're buying. This is the crypto we're buying, and this is what's getting ready to happen." Does she need to be right there and know everything that you know on making those trades?
She probably don't need to know as much as I know, but she needs to know the basics.
Well, I understand. She needs to know. She needs to know the goal. Like, this is what we got to do, and this is about the 8x. We're gonna 10x this investment right here. But I'm gonna be on the computer with my 3 screens because I got to set up 2 with the 3 screens, and this is the trades that I'm making over the time. If you're a day trader, or if you're so that's all I'm saying. I believe that your woman should understand where you're going financially. Of course, share bank accounts. You guys are making things together. You're building a life together, and you expect to grow old and die together. Everybody expects to spend the next 50 to 60 years with one person. I understand that. Does she need to know how to trade like you?
No.
That's all I'm saying.
We got to move on. We got to move on to I got a few more videos to get through. The AP Accountability Partner $20 said these conversations have been instrumental in moving men and women closer to understanding. We're seeing more and more dialogue with women trying to correct women and men getting men to see the female perspective. Thank you, AP. AP again, $5 says we can't save everyone, but there has been growth on all sides. It's not all about being on the same page. It's about understanding perspectives. And last, AP again says bad analogy, Shan, with football, they must know. Appreciate that, AP. We'll go ahead and keep it moving. Hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're new, welcome. Let's go ahead and keep this conversation going. I had another clip where it says women have to learn how to properly empathize with men's experiences without centering themselves when they listen. Let me go and play this clip.
This is that women have to learn how to properly perspectivize and empathize with men's experiences without centering themselves when they listen.
What does that look like?
A miracle at this point. But I feel like within this whole conversation about the impacts of feminism on Black women and whatever else that has caused this whole men versus women thing, where we end up landing is somehow on the side of superiority complex, or this whole deal of as you often say, I don't need a man, I want a man, and how devaluing that is. And I don't feel like we didn't mean it to be devaluing. We meant it to be empowering of ourselves because of all the times when you couldn't even get a bank account as a woman or vote, without being attached to a man. So I think it's kind of like the dark side of having the ability to do things now, but it's imbalanced. Imbalance looks like just trying to understand. And that's a whole journey because you have to literally retrain your brain. Because I'm talking as somebody who genuinely believes this, and I still every day have to ensure that the coding isn't reverting back. It's that much of a lifestyle change.
What's the consequence if nothing changes?
The dating and relationship realities that we're in right now continuing to the point to where there's a complete breakdown in our community. We're already approaching and have been for several decades now, but when it becomes unsalvageable, when the effects of it become irreversible, I don't think that that's a what if that it behooves any of us to find out. So we need to fix it, and I guess because of that, we need to talk.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Go ahead and go to you first, Trev. What are your thoughts about that?
It kind of goes back to what I was saying a little bit ago, just us not being able to properly communicate and understand each other, or even the willingness to be able to communicate and understand each other. So it's hard sometimes for women to care enough to try to understand our perspective, right? And a little bit like I was saying before, you have to want to do that in the beginning. You have to want to do that. If you don't want to understand that person's perspective and you're in it just for yourself, it's hard to block out. It's hard to stop it. So it's a point where you have to make a conscious effort to. You have to want to hear us. You're so concerned about what's going on with your life versus what's going on with our lives, right? It's supposed to be a bigger picture. And women should trust men enough to be able to want to get onto their program. If you don't want to get on my program, then you're not for me. You should want to. And it doesn't mean that you have no input. It doesn't mean at all that you have no say. It just means that you understand that I'm going to lead you in the right direction. And that's up to the women in their vetting process to understand, okay, this is a man that I can trust. This man makes good decisions. This man is financially sound. In your vetting process, you have to understand all of those things. You learn that partner. You just watch sometimes. When you just watch and you just listen, you learn so much more than when you're trying to talk. Just watch and look at how a person behaves, look at their habits, and you'll understand this person is for me. This is a person that I can trust with my life. I can trust to raise our children together. He's going to lead us in the right direction. Once they can actually develop that trust and stop going against us so much and stop second guessing us so much and stop doubting us so much, let us do what it is that we do. If you don't like what I do, you find that out early. And if it's not for you, that's understandable. But you have to at least give me the opportunity to show you I can lead you. I'll leave it there for now.
All right, what are your thoughts about it, Rella?
I'm real curious to hear Dr. Nelson's thoughts on this. You know how I said Dr. Nelson. I put that. I'm speaking that right. So here's the deal, fam. I looked at that clip. I'm reading the ticker, brother. I'm sad, man, because if I look at the reality of it, that's a heavy lift. With something so simple, that's a heavy asking women to understand men's perspectives without centering themselves, man. That's a heavy lift for a lot of women these days. I'm thinking back to my grandma, and I'm thinking about how my granddad, she knew how hard he worked, and she worked too, but she knew he worked at the steel mill. She worked taking care of white folk on the north side. She did everything she could to make his life easier when he came through that door. Whether it was the grandkids, whether it was her own children, everything in the house moved around my granddad. And I look at it, and when I'm thinking about this, that's a form of empathy without her. I love the transition, Trev. That's a form of empathy without her centering herself, making it all about her, right? And For the ladies that like to tune in to King Talk just to peep what the brothers are saying, if y'all don't hear nothing else from me, fam, men are checking out. If y'all don't learn to tap in with these brothers, they are finding women who will listen to them and not censor themselves and listen to them actively and repeat back to them what they said, or they hear what they say and make a move on it. I'm not saying every sister out there is not doing what she's supposed to do. That's enough for y'all though. And I think I don't know if I heard you earlier, Hank. Well, somewhere I heard you say too many good women standing next to the unruly heifers, and you can't separate the two. JR, I'm telling you, bro, this makes me sad, G, because it's something so simple. Asking a woman to hear your perspective. I'm talking about our women, black women, to hear our perspective without including yourself, without making it all about you. That just seemed like a heavy lift for our sisters right now, man. And that's insane. Because, and I think Trev was speaking on it in terms of women don't value men. They don't see value in men. Where, I don't need a man, I want one. Or, what I'm saying? You got to have a JOB to be with me. Or, now I got a vibrator. I don't need you. Da. All these things. I'm boss and independent. As if them degrees keeping you warm at night. Right? I got PA, all the buzzwords. But these are things that people are living out in real life. And then you see them 50, 60 years old, still trying to act like they 21. You're supposed to be acting like you 50, 60 years old. You're supposed to have you a man. You're supposed to be riding off into the sunset. You still acting like you one of these, I don't know, sorority chicks, man. Like this, I don't know, G. This one got me stuck because I'm talking about I'm out here. I'm outside, bro. I'm outside. And that makes me sad because it just seems like our sisters can't do it, man.
All right. Anybody else want to chime in on this?
Yeah.
No.
I honestly think
women don't need to properly empathize with men's experiences. Not at all. First of all, everybody needs to understand the difference between empathy and sympathy. A lot of people don't know the difference. So for those, I know everybody on the panel knows, but for those that's watching the show, empathy is when you feel me. Sympathy is when you understand my pain, but you can't experience it yourself. Everybody on this panel knows what it's like to get kicked in the balls. We know what it's like to get hit in our nuts. Right now, we just got to imagine everybody. And if I just got kicked in the nuts right now, every brother on this panel will be able to empathize with me. Women, I just want you to sympathize with me because I'm going through some shit right now because my nuts is hurting. But you can't empathize with me because you're not a man. Empathy is when you feel me and you understand and you have or potentially can in the future experience what I'm experiencing. Sympathy is when it's like, damn, I can't, a woman's menstrual cycle and the cramps that she goes through. Us men, hey baby, what you need? You need a hot towel. You need to get you some Midol or some Tylenol or some Advil. I know I can imagine what you're going through with those cramps, but I don't know what it's like. So I'm sympathizing with her because I can imagine that pain. But other women can empathize with her. So when the question is asking, should women empathize with the shit that men go through? I don't expect that from women. But I do want women to understand what we're going through, and we can't even get that. I realize that you don't know what it's like to be a man and for us to get out there and do, that's the reason why women can just dismiss men so easily, because you don't empathize, but you also are not sympathizing with the shit that we go through. Which sucks. Now, there's a good chunk of women that do, but the ones that we're talking about tonight don't. So I don't expect women to empathize with men's experiences without centering themselves when they listen, because there's I can't imagine. They don't they in their brain, they don't know why the lights are on and how the house got built and how this microphone works and why, everything got delivered to them after they just punched something in. They don't understand. They don't care how the iPhone works. They don't care about, they don't care because they don't build the shit. They don't build anything like that. Men created all of this stuff. And so that's like Rilla said, they just are like, it just works. everything just works. Us men is like, damn, I know what it's like to be out there in that ditch digging in the rain and it's freezing cold. And I'm just trying to, you know, bring food home. I don't expect women to do that. But I would like it for women to start sympathizing with men a lot more and understanding, even though you can't do what we do and deal with the pain that we deal with and the shit that we have on our shoulders, you know, sympathize a little bit. And I think the relationships would go a lot smoother.
So
Shannon, that
is my mic working? Hello.
Yeah, it is. Go ahead, man. You got
it. I agree with Shannon in that I don't think empathy is needed, because he's right about the definition. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes. I don't think that women could ever truly understand the weight that comes with being a man. Like, you are literally carrying and taking care of the life of a whole nother person and family, like especially when you got wife and kids, their lives are in your hands. That's a crazy responsibility for men that try to hold themselves in a godly way. That's a huge weight. So I don't think that they would ever be able to truly understand how seriously men take that. What I do think they need to do is to learn how to honor their man inside of that. Because when they realize the power that is in bringing honor to your man, that takes his ability to produce in the world to a whole nother level. Think about it. He's already out there working, trying his best to provide for you. He comes home to a house that's full of peace, things are in order, kids are taken care of. His mind is now free to continue to plan how he's going to attack the next day, how he's going to add on, how he's going to build a legacy. You free him up to be able to do that. And when a man knows that his woman is behind him, submitting to him, she might not know the direction that they're going all the time or even agree with it, but she is saying, I'm putting my life in your hands. Men truly gravitate to that, and we end up outperforming because of that fact. Like, that's the thing, that's the fuel that helps us really go. So I think if more women understood what honor means and respect, then I think that would go a lot further than trying to put yourself in my shoes and understand the pain or the weight that I'm going through.
Like that. Go ahead, Trev.
Now, I was just gonna say, anybody that was ragging on Shannon analogies tonight, that one hit heavy, because you know right away when you get a kick in the sack, all of us, we're gonna be like, oh. Women, they laugh at it. They laugh at it. Every time they see it, they laugh at it. That right there is a perfect analogy, because that's pretty much how women feel in a nutshell. They laugh at our pain. It's not real to them. They just don't understand how difficult it is to actually be a man and to have everything on you. Like, we are responsible for everything. With that leadership, you get a great deal of respect, or you should get a great deal of respect. But there is hell of responsibility. And that's the part they don't understand.
All right, go ahead, Marcus.
So this is why I think that the first portion has to be done as well. Relationships are like building a house. You have to lay a proper foundation, right? So getting somebody on the same page as you is the process of you being able to effectively communicate, understand how they interpret information, communicate that to them so they understand what you're saying. If you ever listen to like some of the most effective communicators with women, you feel me, come damn near after every sentence, I'm trying to see what you're trying to do. You feel me? Is tonight good for you? You feel me? Because they're checking in constantly as the conversation progresses to see if I lose you at any point, let's stop it right here before I continue to go on down this path. In doing so, you're able to make sure that the things that you want, like empathy, is because they actually understand what you're saying. The trust has to be built through communicating effectively and then coming through on the things you communicated, and that creates trust. And in doing so, now when you say things that would elicit you needing empathy, because they can trust your words and the way that, and you understand the way that they interpret your information, you can move forward with empathy, and they may not center themselves the same way because they understand outside of themselves what you're saying and why you're saying it. A big thing for people understanding, if they understand the why, it makes it much easier for them to understand the total process of what you're trying to get done. So yeah, I respectfully disagree on that. I believe that empathy is important, because if you want somebody to interpret information outside themselves, they're gonna have to step outside of themselves in order to do that.
All right, brother Hick, you want to add something on it?
Yeah. I need my lady to empathize with me. That's what I need from her, to have some type of understanding when I'm going through. I mean, not empathize. I'm sorry, sympathize. I apologize. I need my lady to sympathize with me because of the shit I'm going through, the shit I got to deal with, the responsibility that is on my back on a daily basis. You know, I got a tough job. My job's not easy. It's stressful at times. You know, I have a lot of responsibilities, but there's things I got to do to make sure, you know, to keep the household above ground. You know, make sure I keep my head above water at the same time. Also, at the same time, I need to continue to sympathize with me when I need my time, when I need my peace. When I come in the house, I don't need to know everything that went on at home while I'm not there. Not just yet. Give me a moment. Allow me to decompress, you know, relax a little bit. I'm not a drinker, but if I was, let me get a sip, and then let's talk about it, and then we'll go from there. A lot of men don't have them. A lot of men don't have it in their women's. They got just the opposite. Matter of fact, they can't even get home. They in the middle of the work, probably dealing with something stressful, and they get a text message talking about we need to talk. Then right after she sends that text message, 5 minutes later, she calling. God damn it, I barely got through the text message before you calling me and putting this pressure up on me. What is that important? And the only thing you wanted was, well, I didn't know what to cook for dinner tonight. Come on, man. Really? Yeah, we got to do better.
That's what it
you just got to get her on the same sheet of music as you, Hank. You just got to get her to understand you. Y'all come together.
Well, that was Hank's ex-wife. I don't have to deal with that no more, but thank God. The one I have now, she has a level of understanding. I don't like to be disturbed when I'm at work unless it's some type of emergency, and it's probably more than likely something I could deal with later. Now, if it's not, then by all means, call me. Don't text me. If you want an immediate response, call me. But if it's something I can deal with later, let me do what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? We'll catch up. Maybe at lunchtime I'll give you a call. So I don't know. But I need that. I need for you to sympathize with me that I'm going through what I need to go through, and that's if whether it's at work or at home. You know, so allow me to do what I need to do. You know, men deal with a lot of stuff, and some of these things that women couldn't handle, and they would crumble under the pressure. That's why we built the way we built with these broad shoulders, so we can carry the load of the world like Atlas. So I'll leave it there.
All right, so empathy and sympathy, right? I know y'all was making a distinction between the two, which there is one. With the sympathy, what was it? Feelings of pity and sorrow for someone else's misfortune and understanding between people, common feeling. And then empathy was the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. I actually would need both, but the second definition of sympathy is also the same definition as empathy, according to the information Rilla put in the chat.
Yeah, it's Googleable.
So no, yeah, I said it too. I'm glad you put it in there so I could reference it real quick. think that not wanting or not feeling that you need to be empathized with will prevent you from properly communicating the things you need to, so that they can even be in a position to do that. And that can be a detriment to you. When Hank was giving the description of a woman calling when he at work and bothering him and doing all those things, it's because she doesn't understand what he's dealing with at work. And if he was able to communicate that and explain, hey, when I'm at work, I just need to focus on this. I don't need y'all in my head. I don't need XYZ. And she understands that, then she won't do that. But if she does not understand that, then she will continuously call and continuously nag you and continuously do those things. All of them come from being able to communicate effectively to get to the point where you can get the understanding, which is why these things are in tandem. The first portion of the segment and the second portion of the segment are building off of each other.
Doesn't it kind of mean that? So I'm looking at empathy and sympathy then as being kind of like core characteristics that women should have during the dating process. So they should already have a certain level of respect and reverence for men in their position, which would lead them to be to kind of already be thinking on those types of terms. Because realistically, when you get into a relationship down the line, if she's honoring you, then you should really just be able to say, hey, can you not call me while I'm at work? Okay, no problem. It doesn't need to be. I think we're given too much room for trust building and communication as being something that has to happen inside of like the marriage or the relationship, when really these are part of the things that are vetted out and worked out. The kinks are worked out during the dating process, because then once you get past the dating process and you're into marriage, she's saying, okay, I've seen enough that I know I can trust you. I know what you need from me. So now I feel comfortable enough after seeing everything you bring to the table and you see everything I bring to the table, I'm going to submit and become your wife. So, to a certain extent, like, I get what you're saying, like in a relationship, and Hank, what you're saying is I agree with that too, that you should have room to be able to tell your wife, like, the way you're approaching this right now is wrong. I need you to handle it like this, or call me at this time. Yeah, I just don't think that should be a any kind of point of contention or anything like that.
So just for clarity, I want to make sure I'm hearing the brothers. We're destigmatizing sympathy, right? Because that's one thing we didn't broach. Like, most men look at sympathy as like a feminine trait. So, if I'm asking somebody to sympathize with me, they're looking at it as a weakness. But we're destigmatizing that tonight on stage, right? Okay.
Well, I also was using the definition for empathy was similar to the second version of. That's why
No, I agree. Yeah. I just want to be clear for the audience sometimes, because we use words and then stuff gets lost in translation. So maybe I'm not communicating this effectively. I'm not saying she's gonna feel the weight on your shoulders and be able to be in your shoes. I'm saying if she attempts to understand that, then she will make concessions because of that. So if someone was thinking I was saying she's gonna understand exactly what you mean, I don't think anybody can understand exactly what it means to be another. Like, I won't understand childbirth exactly, but I can see the process and empathize and sympathize with her having to push the baby out while I'm sitting there holding her hand and yelling push. So similar to that.
I gotta get to these super chats so we can keep it going. I'll go to you first, Hank. We can finish it out and then add on to the next one. AP accountability partner $5 said, just remind, understanding and agreeing are not the same. Like Trev said, the person may not be for you. Quit wasting time. Hank says, unruly heifers, lives matter, with the $2. AP accountability partner $5 says, Nelson, woman tried to walk that mile as a man and is triggered her depression, and she ended up deleting herself. Shan was spot on this time. And then lastly, AP accountability partner $5 says, Marcus, my dog, respectfully, I disagree. Can't feel the weight on your shoulders, but she can understand what you're carrying. Empathy versus sympathy. I want to thank everybody that has contributed to the platform. Hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and keep it moving. Next thing is the thing or things men misunderstand, dismiss, or minimize about the Black woman's experience with men?
I throw that question back to you. What is the thing or things that you feel like men misunderstand, dismiss, or minimize about the Black woman's experience with us?
Okay, so when I get to talking about how much Black women need to take a moment to reflect and understand men as human beings, there's always that pushback of, but why we like this is because, that whole thing. And the truth is there's absolute 100% validity to that. For every woman who clinches at the idea of submitting to a man, for every woman that is problematic or has an attitude, there are usually not one man, but several, ranging from her father to her uncle to her first boyfriend to her last boyfriend, who are a part of the cause and effect of why she reacts that way. As Dr. Joy DeGruy would put it, it's a appropriate adaptation, to a traumatic experience. And so I think men have to realize that there is a such thing as toxic masculinity, the same as there is a such thing as toxic femininity, and we end up retaliating from our toxic places when we've been hurt, by each other. And we have to be aware of that and find a way to short circuit the process, because if we don't have a way to start off with a clean slate for everybody that we have properly identified is worthy of that, then we're not gonna be able to get out of this rut that we're in. So that's what I think it looks like.
Help me. Am I tripping? She didn't answer his question.
JR, you on mute. You on mute, JR.
What you say?
I was saying she didn't answer his question at all. I mean, it was a good word salad, but am I tripping? Or he asked her what should men understand about women and women's plight, and then she went on a tangent. Did I misunderstand?
I was waiting for the answer, Shane. I was waiting to.
No, like I think in the comments that he was
Shout out to her. Shout out to
Well,
her, but she did not answer his question at all.
No, what I'm gonna say, I can sympathize. Let's take it full circle. Sympathize with a woman who's went through some traumatic events or things like that. But not every woman went through this traumatic situation like she's talking about. So why are they wearing the jacket of I'm not going to be submissive to a man? I don't give a damn about a man. I could do what I want to do. Why are they wearing that jacket? I don't know. I don't know at all. That makes no sense to me. But like I said before, fellas, stop dating men who stop. I'm sorry. Stop dating women. Dating women. Yes, let me say it again because I messed that up. Damn, my bad. Stop dating women who doesn't have fathers or father figures. Those type of women have no respect for a man. They have no understanding of a man. They don't know how to respond or talk to or carry themselves around a man because unfortunately their father was not there for whatever reason. Their father figure wasn't in their life for whatever reason. So leave them women alone. Allow these no shit ass dudes to have them and let them go on about their business on somewhere else. Leave them heifers alone. They don't deserve your attention. Move with the women who's about some shit. Find a woman who's going to jump on your team and who's going to be able to play the running back, and I'll be the quarterback, and we're going to go score this touchdown. Ain't that right, Shannon? We're going to get that. We're going to get that. So, yeah. Misunderstanding things between men. Look, ladies, I know y'all always want to take it right back over to y'all because that's exactly what she did. Like she didn't even answer the question. She beat around the bush and found some way to bring it back over to the women. I mean, bring it back over to the men and not the women. Man, accountability is not their friends. They can't. That's like kryptonite to these heifers. Man, they will run from it.
I can't believe it, Jesus. I can't believe it, Jesus.
Right on, brother.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead. Who was that?
That was
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that men need to understand about women is that we have to govern our relationship with them based off of knowledge. So it's based off the knowledge that we have of them. So I understand what Hink is saying, like don't, not to mess with women that don't come from backgrounds of, stable fathers or anything like that. But I think on a deeper level, I think is we need to start understanding the psychology of the women that we are with and that we are dating. What is their background? Or if they didn't have a father growing up, what is the perception that they have of a man? What do they believe a man's role to be? Where do they learn that from? So all of the subconscious things that they learn from childhood about what it means to be with a man or what it means to be a woman, like we need to learn all those things. So you might end up being with a woman that has had a traumatic past. Us governing our relationship with them based on knowledge means we understand how that traumatic past impacts the way they think, the way they feel, and the way they behave based off of that. So we might come to find that out later on after we, really fell for them and got with them, that they had this kind of past and we didn't notice about them. But now if we're going to govern our relationship with knowledge, then what is it that we need to do? What are the things that we need to do in order to kind of break whatever negative patterns she has, and understanding if she's even willing to break negative patterns once we bring that to their attention. So if they turn out to be a person that wants to be stuck inside their ways, that doesn't have a desire to change, then we need to know when to pull the plug. So I would kind of just leave it at, we need to have knowledge of who we're dealing with.
Well, Nelson, I would say by the third date, we should know something because I'm interrogating a woman.
You can't
So
expect
look,
me to be serious.
what are the things that men misunderstand, dismiss, and minimize about women, essentially? Well, there's only 5 things that men really complain about women today, right? Like the fatherless behavior. Let's talk about the fatherless behavior. Then we got the slut behavior. Then we have, that's the hot girl summer, right? The body count, the whole name. Sexual liberation. The inauthenticity of women and how they become, like back in the 70s, the afro, the natural woman was bad and the whole night. Today it's weaves, blonde hair, blue hair, swirlies, lashes, the BBLs. It's the inauthenticity of women. It's like, where are you? What do you look like after you take all that, the tight costume off? The boss chick life. We talk about the woman with the boss chick in that masculine role, and she's bossing people around at work, and now she's home bossing you around, and y'all can't get it together, and it's too many chiefs and not enough Indians at home. And then there's the attention hungry women that just needs attention. That's what social media, I gave them another one. Social media came out and said, now everybody look at me, hit them angles. Drake makes songs about it. Hit them angles and add them filters and look at me. And those likes go up and those comments go up and they get that dopamine hit. And that's the complaints that men have today. And if we removed all those 5 things, we wouldn't have the show. The first 3, I don't have no tolerance for. I don't have no tolerance for the slut behavior. I don't have no tolerance for the inauthentic women, because the reason why is because when you know better, you do better. When you get older, that's the reason why, if you were raised as a young baby in a bigoted home that was racist in the deep South, and then you move to the West Coast, if you bring that with you, you get everything that comes with you because you know better. You know that what you were taught as a child in your racist home with your parents that hated black people, you learn that that was all bullshit. And if you don't adjust your attitude and learn and do better, then then you get what comes to you, right? Now the last two, the boss chick life, the whole masculine role, and the attention hungry women, we need to understand that a little bit more. I think men should understand that. I know we dismiss it. I know we minimize it and say, hey, man, I ain't dealing with no chick that's a boss, or this chick that's all on Instagram and you just love the gram. But we have to understand where that's coming from. And I think, I just think that if men took the time to not necessarily dismiss women who are walking around in a masculine role, I wouldn't want to date one myself, but I'm just saying, for those that's out there, we have to look at what society has created, and what they were pit up against, and what they were indoctrinated with and brainwashed with. They didn't stand a chance, man. The I'm a strong and independent woman mantra was a cold force to be reckoned with. And if men kind of understand where that came from and who was in charge and who was driving that and what they wanted to get out of that, then I think that we be able to stop minimizing it so much and start understanding where women, and I think it can be fixed. I just think it's hard. Of course, the older the women get, it's harder to change. So that's why we're having these conversations with women as young as we possibly can, to make sure that they don't fall in the same traps that the older women have with that whole boss chick.
Yes, sir.
So that's me.
All right. Go ahead, Rilla.
Yeah, so I think one of the things, and I took this question a different way. I took it as a moment to sympathize with the plight of the woman and their experience with Black men as they tell it to us, right? So one of the things I think we minimize, and I'm speaking for the reformed slut monkeys of America,
What?
is how conflicting our messages are to them at times. We tell them to be chaste, but then we tell them, hey, I gotta fuck on something. Keep your legs closed. You control access to sex, but I'm gonna get it. I gotta, myself, I don't like to beat off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Keep that body count low. Keep that body count low.
Right. Yeah, keep that shit. I want 0. I want a virgin, right? But then, man, how I have to think about this, and I'm not concerned with my daughters as much. My youngest one, she a country bumpkin, but my older daughters, they got game. So they cool, and they one's married and the other one's engaged. So I'm cool with them. But think about the amount of dudes that try and run script on females every day. Like, just the amount of bullshit they got to sift through. And some of us are really slick with our mouthpiece. You know what I'm saying? Heartthrob, never, black and ugly as ever. Right? However, how did, you know what I'm saying? You walk down the street, you see some of these ugly fat monk with fine ass. How you slick mouthpiece. And we're asking women to sift through all of that and remain chaste. And when they telling us, hey, we're getting mixed messages here, we dismiss that shit. That's on you, ho. Keep your legs closed. You got knocked up by Pookie, right? That's your fault, right? And on top of that, we contributed to the problem. Because, turn the cameras off. Let's go backstage and have we often have conversations about when we was 20 and how we was, maybe not you, Nelson. I think you were a choir boy, but, the rest of it, we're going to talk about, what I'm saying, how we took them up through there, right? Include the beta simp whole stud. I'm going to tell you about how I took them up through there in Atlanta. So I think that's the one thing we dismiss and minimize, which is why I teach my boys. Be intentional. Be intentional. Don't play with this woman. That's somebody's baby, fam. That's somebody's daughter. Be intent when you're dealing with her. Be intentional. So 2 of my sons are engaged as a result. 2 of my sons. So 3 boys, 3 girls. I'm doing pretty decent out here.
Nice look to you. Trev, you speak on it yet?
Nah. So, Rilla, the reason why that happens, the game looks the same. And I was talking about this a couple weeks ago. The game looks the same. You can't push up, like, even if you're just pursuing relations with a woman, right? Like, it looks the same. You can't be. Most men can't just go out there and be like, yeah, I'm just trying to knock you off real quick and then keep it moving. It's not gonna work. So you're still sitting there courting. You're still giving her the sweet nothings. You're still talking to her like you really like this woman. So that's the problem. And sometimes women fall for that, and the dude will just leave. That's another body. They might be looking for love sometimes. They'll get another one, right? Don't vet properly. But it's tough because, like you said, some of these dudes know how to run their mouth. And, you know, unfortunately, I was one of them back in the day. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And it's nothing you can do about that now. But I understand it because you got better results that way, right? And that's what we would do just to get ours off. Because, and you might not have any ill intent at the time because you know what you're trying to do and you cool. Yeah, hang out and everything like your girlfriend. But in the back of your mind, you have no plans of making her your wife. But you'll treat her just the same just to get what you want and be out. So, yeah, there is something to that where we kind of perpetuate the problem in the first place. So, as tough as it is, man, we have to do a little bit better on that because it's definitely contributing to it. That's a major issue. I think the female did kind of answer the question a bit when she talked about the trauma. And one thing that we notice is that when people don't have fathers, they're susceptible to so much more. There's so many things that go wrong when they don't have a father in the household, and we undervalue men in that way. When you look at every metric, it's always whether it's talking about deleting yourself, whether it's talking about you having success with relationships, whether you being financially successful, right? How far you go in school. All of that is determined by you having a father, right? And for them just being more agreeable, them respecting you as a man. If they've never seen that example in their household, how could they value a man? All they ever saw was a woman getting everything done. You might see men come in and men go out just as quick as they came in. So that's how they're going to view men because that's their anecdotal experience. That's all they've ever seen. You'll see a dude come by. He might be around for a couple weeks. He's not paying attention to the kids. He's not valuable and they're not valuable to him. So he's just doing a flyby. So that's their only example of a man that they ever had. And unfortunately, once you have a child and you weren't married, and it's tough for somebody to want to take on that challenge of raising someone else's child. So a lot of dudes go in there with the stiff arm. I'm only going to let you get so close to me. I'm not going to let you get that off because I already know I'm not trying to take this on. I don't want to take this situation on. So I'm just going to do what I do, just do just enough, just so I can hang around, just so I got a little hideout spot, just so I could get my rocks off when I need to. And that's it. And a man like that, if that's what they witness, they can't value us because they've never seen us do anything positive. So when they get out in the real world, they see dudes as tools. You can get me to this part, or you can help me get to over here. Just something that they use to get something they want, whether it's money, whether it's the D, whether it's some companionship temporarily. I'm going to get what I need out of you. And a lot of this has become transactional. And that's part of the major disconnect. People just want what they want out of the other person. I'm going to get what I need, and then I'm good. So that's why a lot of men avoid women like that, unfortunately, because the odds are that they're probably going to be missing some major components when it comes to their character. So not to say that it's impossible. I think it's fair to at least go through the vetting process because there are some people who come from single parent households that are very successful, right? If you look at Jay-Z, boom, he was a single parent. Obama, single parent household. So it's like, it's not to say that it can't happen, but the odds are you need to be watching. No matter who you deal with, no matter what household they come from, you need to look. And like Nelson referred to earlier, you also need to check where they are mentally. You should not be getting with somebody who you can't be around their family. You need to see how functional or dysfunctional their family is, because that's the type of behavior that they are likely going to practice. You need to be in some of them family reunions. You definitely need to go to some dinners, at least with their immediate family, and just see how they get down. See how they interact with each other. See how they communicate. See how is the man of that house respected? Does she talk to him any kind of way? Because that's how she was trained, and that's what she's going to do for you. If it was a loving household, she respected that man. That's who I want to see. I need to meet your mother. I need to meet your father for so many different reasons, for whether it be psychological reasons, just basic health. Do they have a history of a bunch of health problems? Is this going to be somebody? Because you got to really, really dig in. This is going to be somebody you're spending the rest of your life with, potentially, or at least that's the game plan. So you need to exhaust it. I mean, really look at every single detail you can about this person. You need to do some forensic examinations on this person. Or like I said, you better interrogate them. Make sure you get everything, and not even just what you see. You need to go and see what their family's doing too.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we need to look at it in multiple ways, though, because that same, you mentioned a girl earlier that she saw mom bring guys in and out the house, so she ends up developing like this thought that like these relationships are transactional and that, you know, men come and go, so I'm gonna get what I need. I think we also need to keep in mind that that can develop a girl's psychology in more than one way. So she could also turn out to be, well, because I saw men come in and out of my mom's life, I have to be the perfect woman. I have to make sure I do the best I can and I stay inside the relationship no matter what. I got to show him that I'm worth sticking around for. So she ends up staying with a guy that ends up being, one of the no good toxic guys, because she internalized what she saw mom go through as something that was her own fault or mom's own fault. So I think that the work that you're talking about, learning and being exhaustive about it, we need to not go into it thinking in terms of one narrative, because it could be multiple different narratives going on at the same time.
All right. Let me get to this one super chat. AP Accountability Partner $2 says Chef Rilla cooked it up on this one. Spot on, my G. Let's go ahead and get into this next. Hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Appreciate all the support. Let's get into it. The empathy that women.
I ain't even answer.
You didn't? Oh, my fault. Go ahead.
I'll go ahead. Go to the next.
Nah, man, I'm 56, man. It's age catching up with me, man. Go ahead, brother Marcus. My bad.
Man,
Jesus, I can't believe it, Jesus.
Yeah, all of the things that the women I think the young lady answered the question, right? What she was saying was that the thing that people dismiss or don't understand was that the reason she is the way she is because of the men either in her life or that were not in her life, and that she's a culmination of those things. So if she has a bad attitude, it may be because there were no men there to structure it, or it might have been somebody that was abusive and she wanted to fight back against. Or if she has a great attitude, she might have had a loving father who was there and did everything possible. Or she might have had a loving father and she just wanted to rebel. We're like sounding boards and reflectory. So the things we experience, one, you got the nature and then you got the nurture. So however that person's ability to navigate those things, it's the same thing as the story of the alcoholic who had two sons. One would never touch a drink of liquor and the other one become a raging alcoholic, and they both blamed it on their upbringing. So I think her point was that the role that men play in women's lives, that was I think her overreaching point. And like Nelson said, I think it's something you have to build on to understand the like I talked about this a whole lot of times. I don't know if anybody really understands what I'm saying when I say it, if I'm not explaining it correctly, or maybe my method of explaining it isn't just hidden. But what I'm essentially trying to describe is, remember I said I never fire anybody for what they actually did, but the way their brain formulates the thought. Because I know I can work with the way you think versus an action. And if I understand how you formulate thoughts, then I can move to the next thing because I understand what you're more likely to do and less likely to do. And moving from there, I can make the best sound judgments. And it's worked really well. So yeah, that's that. You can skip me the next one too, though. I ain't tripping.
Hey, real quick, Marcus, do you think men should have more grace for women who were SA'd as children and now they turned out to be very promiscuous?
In general or in a relationship?
No, in a relationship. No, I know in general we
Yeah,
be
yeah.
kind to everybody, but in a relationship, like a guy meets a girl, but she smashed the hood. She smashed
Mhm.
the home. She went. She got ran through. But then you
Mhm.
discover that she was, gangbanged at age 12 or something like that by some 18-year-old boys in high school or something like that. You find out that she went through some heavy SA as a child, an unprotected child, and that manifested into her having a very promiscuous maybe middle school, high school, college, and then you meet her and you like a lot of things about her, but then you know that that happened. Should men have more grace for those women, or should men just write her off because she should have known better, even though she got SA?
I think that's dependent on the man's skill set when it comes to dealing with women. So if you're the type of man that has the skill set to be able to help somebody work through their trauma and get to a healthy place, it's going to be a lot of heavy lifting. Then possibly, if you don't have the skill set, the patience, or the understanding, then you need to leave that woman alone before you make it worse. So I don't know if that answers the question precisely for you, but you remember my general premise is that all women can be made into the right type of woman with the right parameters, being the guy that she really wants, so she'll change for, and then him understanding how to mold her into the woman he wants her to be. So that's the framework I come from with everything. And that doesn't mean that everybody can change any and everybody. It means that there's a right stimuli that can create a right response. And if you find the right combination, then you can get the desired response out of anybody.
Yeah, what he said. Yeah, I was gonna say he took it right. Yeah. I probably should say pause after that. That sounded kind of weird. Yeah, it's one of them pause moments. I stopped myself, but I still uttered a little bit too many syllables. It just came out. That framework just came out all wrong. Anyhow,
Pause again.
It's a pause fest, man.
guess so, man. I guess so. I'm about to edit this out. Shit. Hit the like button. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and get into this next video. The empathy that women are asking for is one-sided. This video was a little bit lengthy. She did, I believe, answer the question on this one. I kind of sped it up a little bit, and then there was something that happened at the end of this, which I want to get you guys' thoughts about it. Here we go.
This is a problem that I see. Oftentimes, that empathy that you're asking for and other women are asking for is one-sided, right? So it's, I want you to be cognizant of, empathetic of, delicate with what happened to me when I was 3, 4, 5, the colorism that I faced as a Black woman, the texturism, maybe some assaults, bad parenting, absent parenting. And I am still worthy of love. However, I require you to be delicate in your approach to loving me, while simultaneously dismissing men who have similar experiences, right? Mm-hmm. So the guys who, for instance, the whole nice guys finish last thing, the even the concept of the red pill, when guys grow up and they realize why women have been putting them in the friend zone, realize that women aren't sugar and spice and everything nice. The response to that is not similar to the response to women who've been through a lot. The response to it is more so, you're an adult now, you're grown. Why are you still holding those grudges? Why haven't you gotten over it, right? And while you are catering to my hurt, you need to know how to put your hurt aside. And I think a lot of men in our growing kind of general self-awareness are like, that's not fair. It doesn't make any sense. As a matter of fact, one of the table episodes, Ja was talking about his mother. His mother was on drugs and the whole nine. The comment section was saying, ladies, if you ever come across this type of man, run. Why is he trying to fix other people, right? It was a very dismissive tone of, you are not worthy of love or the patience of a woman who would be necessary to love a man like you. While simultaneously, the message is that every woman is deserving of love. So why is that imbalance so like popular and nobody actually talks about it?
Well, hey, we're talking about it now. And I hope, conversations like this are helpful for people to ask themselves that question, because the truth is there is no reason why that should be allowed to continue. What you're stating is a literal example that people can go look in the comments and see that this happens. And it's not the only place that it has happened. And so that's why I feel so strongly that for women, that's where our work starts. Every woman has to ask themselves that question. For me, the answer was because I had to have a wake-up call to realize that I was socialized that way. It's built into the infrastructure of how we relate to men. And I can barely even point to it. I just know that when I read the book, Rites of Passage for Black Boys, I can't recall the author, but in that he details the Black man's experience in America, how he's targeted for, drug and crime offenses, petty offenses, just to keep the prisons full. And, that was my first time. I was a freshman at Hampton University. That was my first time, like, coming into contact with that information. So it caused me to say, no wonder our men are in the predicament that they're in. Like, why wouldn't you be? So that's why every woman has to kind of go down a path of research just for the sake of empathizing with men. The same way that men have to look up, what a woman's menstrual cycle is like. If you're a man and you've never Googled that and how it impacts how you interact with her, then that's the exact same thing, just from the male perspective.
So she just get the rambling and then we get to the end.
Contributes to why we are the way we are. And if all we're doing is scrolling on our phone, you may or may not ever come into contact with that information in a usable, framework. So everybody's got to go on that path for themselves. Like you have to.
Are you looking at the camera?
No. Am I supposed to be?
You're supposed to be looking at me.
I don't look at people when I talk to them. It's weird to me. You want me to?
Don't look at people when you talk to them.
No, because it's like I'm in my thought place, so I have to go look through my files.
But that's gonna come off as inauthentic. I can see you in your thought place.
I could try.
Other people gonna see you in your thought place.
All right, let me face
What are you afraid of people discovering?
No, if
you're outside of your thought place.
You're not understanding. It's not a conscious thing. It's just something I always do.
But you're conscious that you always do it.
Mm-hmm. Because
it's not conscious in the moment.
Because I know, it's bad. So let me try to look, but it just feels so horrible that I always look away.
No, I understand like looking away when like you're still forming a thought, but like literally you were
Yeah,
you
I'm
were
like,
addressing
me and Miss Island is locked in.
you were addressing the
Bro,
refrigerator.
Let me tell you, bro. Like, yo, so here's my theory. All right, but anyway, okay. Thank you for pointing that out. Let me try better. Yeah.
No, stop trying. That's
I can't.
Stop trying.
I can't.
Yes,
I don't
you can.
know. I don't know what that is.
This, what just happened, both things are still recording. This is not trying. You did it, Joe.
So just be my awkward self?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Say less. That's all you had to say.
I said that already. And then you, yes, after reading Joy Do Agree.
What can I say? I'm media trained.
I hate media trained people. You know that, right?
You said it. That's why I said it.
Yeah, I hate media trained.
I'm not
people.
really media trained.
Yes, you are.
Who trained me? Who said do this, then do that, and don't do that?
Media trained more than like having your
Potty trained.
degree in like mass comm is like the right way to do press.
I would.
All right, that was the end of it. But Nelson, real quick before we get into the empathy that women are asking for is one-sided, and we respond to it. When he asked her about that at the end, what did you notice?
I noticed he was doing a bad job of trying to psychoanalyze her. So you're talking about when she wasn't making the eye contact?
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been because she was like the way she described it sounded right to me. Like she was, you have people that literally go off and stare into the distance as they're trying to recall information actively. It sounded like he tried to drive her towards she was repressing some type of deep inadequacy or self-esteem issue that was manifesting itself by her not making eye contact. That to me, it just looked like he just did a bad job trying to psychoanalyze her.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and hop into what was discussed. I guess you can go ahead since you was talking already, Nelson. What are your thoughts about that?
So I'm a big proponent of I understand everybody should make a regular practice of trying to show empathy, and we should show empathy and compassion to one to another. Absolutely, that's good. I'm just a bigger proponent of examining yourself, because the more time we spend looking at ourselves in the mirror and really analyzing our flaws and how we can do better, we show up to other people better. We start to realize a lot of our own inadequacies. We've become such a culture of telling everybody to go look at other people and adjust how we operate in the world based off of that. It's just asking other people to go do the work is just not. It's never going to work. It's not going to happen. We've been having this dance between men and women for so long now, telling them you got to work on your issues. You got to work on your issues. No, just examine yourself, see where you're at. And the more you learn about yourself, the more you'll learn about the person that you're with, why you're with the person that you're with, the person that you probably should be with. That's just kind of my thing.
Okay. Go ahead, Brother Hink.
The question is it the empathy one-sided or not? Yeah, unless you're a dog or her kids, you're not gonna get the same. Nothing about it's gonna be the same. So you just got to deal with it, and that's what most men are doing, suffering in silence, and they dealing with it. Feel like they can't talk. You're supposed to be able to talk to your lady, but you feel like you can't. Because why? Somehow, some way, she's going to find a way to make it about her. I'm telling about how my day was. All of a sudden, she switched around. Well, Nancy at work, she was doing whole lot of gossiping and talking about her. Yeah. But we're not talking about Nancy. How about we stay on what I'm dealing with? How about we focus on, at my supervisor's meeting, it got out of hand, and then they trying to, put more assignments on me that I'm getting paid for, that I budget for, that was in, that's in my job description. Can we talk about that out there? That's what I sort of want to talk about. I don't give a goddamn about Nancy. Let the heifer be. Let's focus on what I'm dealing with. But that's not the case.
Hank, where's that kind of self-centered mentality? Like, where you think that comes from women? Because that's not all women, but just like from your experience, where do you think? Why does that come up?
I think a lot of women has probably been pedestalized for so long, ever since they was kids, and it make it all about them. And so they never learn to play well with others. They never learned to share. They always made it about them. Now, can they grow out of it? I would think so. You would think that way, but a lot of ladies don't. They stuck in that childlike mindset. I mean, I don't agree with Mr. Lake when he said that women are children, but sometimes some of the things they do, it makes me question. But other than that, I have no idea, Brother Nelson. I really don't. But like you said, it's not all women. I encourage you guys to figure out what you're dealing with. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Don't get to the point where you overly falling in love and head over heels because that nana wet because she cooked good because she got a big ass on her. Figure out what you're working with, what you're dealing with, and as soon as you find that out, you move as such. You know what I'm saying? If she's one of those selfish type people who makes it all about her. Okay, you're gonna make it all about you with another man. I'm not that guy.
Reason I asked you that is because there's been this growing trend of personality traits that people have been developing, coming especially in the Black community due to like a lot of dysfunctional family systems with like alcoholic dads, alcoholic moms, or just messed up families, to where people start developing narcissistic traits. And a lot of men have not caught on to the fact that what narcissistic traits look like in women. Like, there's been some relationships, even the ones that we the celebrity relationships that we look at online, Will and Jada, Amanda Seales, some of the other names escape me, but like deeply narcissistic women that don't have a problem getting a man, but you can see that their man is what we would call a simp, like easily manipulated. They play the victim a lot, and I'm starting to notice that a whole lot more. There's a whole lot of manipulation, setting herself up to be the victim while creating the illusion that she looks at you as a king, but she's doing that so that way she can knock you off that pedestal later on when you make a mistake. So that way you start to get into a mindset of like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, so I need to get back inside of her good graces. Like that's becoming a huge problem. And I think a lot of men aren't catching on to that until it's too late, until they have children with these women, and then they get stuck inside of these really bad, either staying inside the relationship, or now they got this co-parenting relationship with these toxic women.
Well, I think a lot of guys have really outkicked their coverage. They're able to get a woman that they never got before. All of a sudden, the probably the best looking woman they ever had. They don't want to lose it. They don't want to mess it up. They don't want to find some way to lose the girl, because this is probably the best looking thing that she ever had. To him, she's probably 8. Really, she's probably a 5.5, maybe a strong 6. But to him, she's an 8, and then he doesn't want to lose. He doesn't want to miss out on that. So he's going to try to do everything. Sacrifice his own, self and self-pride and self-worth in order to keep this heifer around. Now, shame on you for doing that bullshit. But there's dudes out there who will do some stuff like that. They will accept the emotional and the mental abuse from a woman just to keep her around. I don't agree with it. I don't understand that. Fellas, you got options out here. These heifers are a dime a dozen. move as such, man. I don't understand. A woman shouldn't move me like that. They shouldn't move men like that. You should move the women. They should follow you. You don't follow them. You don't be kowtown to a woman. Why? I don't understand.
You don't understand is because you have wisdom in the game. You know, we talk about wisdom and knowledge. You know, people are smart, man. These kids, these young folk are smart, Hank. But it takes the wisdom. It takes the time it takes years in service to get to where you are. And so what you do is you apply everything that you've gathered over these years, and then you look back and you say, damn, what are y'all doing? It's because you got wisdom, man, that a lot of young people don't have. You know, the question is, basically is women want grace, but don't want to give it. Women want us to give. I asked Marcus the question right before he played this video. You know, women want grace. They want us to. I was young and dumb is the argument. I tell people to ignore that statement. Fellas, ignore the I was young and dumb statement. They were young, but they wasn't dumb. Women want grace, but they don't want to give you none of it. You a man. A real man will. And why do women want grace but don't want to give it? Is because women are selfish naturally. You know, shout out to Coach Greg Adams. Men are in love. Women are in business. And the thing is, once you understand what Hink understands, fellas, young guys, once you guys understand what Hink understands, you'll stop wasting time. You will, the understanding the nature of women is empowering, man. It's liberating, really. When you realize it's going to be a wake-up moment for a lot of guys. This is the whole red pill, you know, some guys rage out when they wake up or they get red pill, they learn. They be like, damn, oh my God, I can't believe it. And they start reminiscing and thinking about all the women from the past and the dates and the disrespect and the stuff that they dealt with. And some guys rage out. Other guys will take that information and use it to their advantage because they realize it's liberating and it's empowering, and it puts them in a position of making sure that his life is going to be better for the rest of it. The woman in this video, she said that the reason when he asked her, when my man, that was a great question that he asked. He said, hey, how come women want grace, you know, for all the stuff that they've gone through, but man with the same similar situations, women don't want to do that? She said, well, I had a wake-up call. This woman on the video, she said she had a wake-up call, and she mentioned it before. She was saying something about like she needs to keep her she wants to make sure her reprogramming sticks. It was in one of the other questions. Unfortunately, and this is what Hink and I and JR and pretty much everybody on the panel understands, is a lot of older women don't have that wake-up call. That wake-up call never arrives, or it arrives way too late. And that's why we want that wake-up call to happen for younger people, men and women, that need to understand each other so they don't make the same mistakes that people I'm Generation X, people in my generation have made. The parenting mistakes that people like me and all my peers screwed up on people 35 and younger. You know? And then he kind of dogged her out though on her looking away. Shout out to Nelson, who nailed it. Clearly, Nelson is a professional. Are you a psychologist, Nelson?
No, I'm a licensed professional counselor.
You know, neurologically speaking, a lot of times people don't look at people in the eyes because they need to gather their thoughts so they can avoid brain farts. And I know it comes off as disrespect. It's like, why are you not looking at me when you're talking to me? You know, but that's not always the case. And oftentimes it's because people are you know, low self-esteem, or they're shy. But sometimes, actually, oftentimes, it's because people need to gather their thoughts so they don't have so that their brain don't crash. Because looking at you can be overwhelming. In the military, you guys see the movies. The drill sergeant, don't eyeball me, boy. And you got the private in boot camp that's looking straight ahead. There's two reasons why. One, everybody says, oh yeah, you don't want to disrespect your drill sergeant. You know, that's the Army. You got to, you know, maintain respect, and you got to stand in formation and stand in line. But once you go to PLDC, which is Primary Leadership and Development Club course, or once you go to drill sergeant school, one of the reasons why the military don't want the privates and the young boots to look at the drill sergeant in the eye is because the sergeant needs to make sure that the young soldier can snap and remember information instantly. If he allows him to look at him in the eye, they teach us this in the military. If he allows him to look at it, he'll fuck it up. He'll not be able to answer a question. He won't be able to get the azimuth right on the map, and he'll fuck around and get the whole platoon killed. So being in boot camp, one of the biggest things is don't look me in the eye. Look away. Look straight ahead. I'm over here yelling at you, but look straight ahead, and I want you to snap that information. And by doing that, you could recall it faster. So he kind of came hard on her when he was telling her, you know, this disrespect or whatever, because some people just look away so they can get their shit together when they speak. That's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot Alan some bail on that, man. I think we I think we overanalyzing that, man. The brother, he hosts quite a few of those interviews, and I think again this goes back to some of the conflicting messages that we tell women. We want respect. One of the ways that we think and interpret respect is you look me in my eye when I have a conversation with you. That way I know we're engaged, we're locked in. So I didn't find issue with him correcting her in that moment. That's the way he has conversations. That's his personal thing. I didn't think nothing of it really. I understood where he was going with it. And yeah, and I also get that people look away, like I look away to gather my thoughts, right? But we do teach young men that when you're engaged in conversation, man to man, yo, look me in my eye, boy, when I'm talking to you. I tell my sons that, look me in my eye, right? So again, this is some of this conflicting messages that we tell the women. You know, it's okay, look away if you need to look away. No, engage, so I know that you're paying attention to what I say, and then you checking for understanding in those conversations. But I think everybody hit it out the park with answering the question so far. That the empathy that women seek is one-sided. I think Shan talked about women being selfish. You know, Hank hit on a couple things with these heifers, right? I agree. I think about the Antoine Fisher, man, and this is one of the reasons why I advocate for these boys so tough, man. That poem, "Who Will Cry for the Little Boy?" You know, when something happens to a young woman, there is an uproar, and rightfully so. You know, it's all points bulletin. You know, it's you know, the village comes out to surround and protect. My bad, Hank. You talked about pedestalizing that woman, and I agree with you 1000%. That Disney princess treatment, I think that absolutely contributes to it. But when something happens to a young lady, heaven and earth is moved to protect that young lady. But when something happens, I'm not even talking about a grown man, little boy. It's you know, he'll be all right. It's all right. Toughen up. You know, what are you crying for? Right. Meanwhile, that little boy suffers that traumatic experience and goes out because he doesn't know how to process or deal with his emotions. He goes out and affects that on other people, bleeding all over people who never cut him. Right. And so with that said, I think I think the empathy that women seek is one-sided, and I think like Shan said, is built into their DNA. And I think that when brothers have understanding, sympathy for that, right? We know how to deal better. You know, and so that these conversations don't become a waste of time, but we can begin to move the needle forward in the discussion. But Trev, I'm curious to hear you, brother, on this one.
True. Really, I like that last part of what you said, that women don't have the empathy, right? So with that, they don't have it. So a lot of times we feel like there's some ill intent behind it, or maybe they're just completely narcissistic. And although they may absolutely have some narcissistic tendencies, not all the time do these women even understand that perspective. Like we were talking about earlier, they just don't have the ability to even see it like that. Because like Shan said earlier, women are selfish by nature. So they're not going out here trying to be a douchebag and say, look, you know what, the hell with this guy. They're just bred like this. It's always been about them. They've never had to help anyone else out. They've never had to contribute to somebody else's life like that. So now it's a maternal instinct when you have children. But for a man, sometimes they just really don't understand that we are human beings, that we actually feel. And we're not allowed to show emotions the way that women are. So to us, we like a brick wall. It's hard for them to understand that we could feel the same way that they feel. All they can ever focus on is their own issues. So that's the main problem for me, is that I really feel like a lot of these women, and I talk to a lot of women, they just don't consider it. And that's the main thing. You know, when you have a great woman, the number one trait that I look for is consideration. Are you consider? Do you consider how I feel? Do you consider what would help my day go better? Do you consider what would help my life be better? Do you consider me? That's the main thing. That's something that women are missing. Consideration. They just don't have the ability, because they weren't trained that way, or a lot of times they're not willing to. If you can't consider me and consider my thoughts, consider what it is that I want to do with my life, and even what I want to do for our family, then we're not going to work ever. That's the main problem they have, is consideration. Number one for me. And they can't sometimes. And when you see women who behave like that, you better run. I kind of felt like, I love the way he presented the question, because just the way it had her on stuck for a second, and she really had to gather her thoughts. It was like, damn, because you could tell that's a question she wasn't even faced with yet. And a question she probably never gave herself, because she really had to collect her thoughts just to think about it. Like, damn, wait a minute. Damn. But what he was saying was damn right. And she couldn't even deny it. It was undeniable, because he gave some perfect examples of, look, we're expected to understand this. We're expected to have sympathy and empathy. We're supposed to know how to treat a woman and understand her past and understand how it got there and think about all of that. But they are not ever to consider any trauma that we dealt with when we were younger, or how we got the way that we are. They say run from that man. And that's the sound difference right there. They sometimes don't even think about it. And she showed it right there that she wasn't even thinking about it. It was never part of her thought process, in my opinion. She never even had to think about it. And I think she did a decent job of answering that. We just have to do the work. Even though she didn't have the answers, that's a great answer. We have to do the work. But are women willing to? Do they value men enough to go out here and consider us? Or do they just have this sense of entitlement to where they think, well, you're going to take me as I am? Because we always hear that. They're going to take me as I am. You're going to meet me here. How about you meet me halfway? Work with me. Can you work with my flaws, my faults? Because you always want to have a discussion when it's something that we're doing wrong. But when you're doing something wrong, we're just supposed to understand why you're doing what's wrong.
All right. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, you remember me? I thought you was gonna skip me again. So JR, like when we sitting at a table eating, right? It's two reasons that you do like the look off stuff. So like for me to recall information, I'm always gonna look up into there. I can almost see it in my brain. Like it's like you go blank and then you can think that way better. Like what Shannon was talking about. That absolutely worked for me. Like if I'm trying to think of something creative, it's the same process. If I'm trying to remember something, it's the same process. I'm like almost disassociating with the present tense to remember or get myself back to the point where I can remember the majority of the details. The other thing is in public, you will consistently see my eyes darting from both entrance exits, like who coming in, who going. I try and like remain completely aware, especially if like it's a door behind me and it's one on this side. Like I'm kind of in a bad position because I would like to see what's going on, depending on the area we in, right? The empathy is one side. So I think that's a result of hierarchy, right? When you look at children to the mother, right? The children normally, the child doesn't normally concern themselves with the feeling of the parent. The parent is just doing what's best for the child. So when the parent is asking for empathy from the child, it may fall upon deaf ears. Consecutively, if we're the leaders of relationships, which we are, it falls into that same hierarchical. Because somebody said a word for me. Let me look up hierarchical structure. So in doing so, it's kind of harder for us to expect the empathy from the woman the same way it's hard for the woman that accept it or expect it from the child. So I think that's one part. That and the other part, some of these people are not nurturing and caring, and the nurturing and caring people will attempt to do it in all directions. So a lot of times we fall victim to dating people who do not possess those skills due to what Hank said. I think that's more so what happens than anything. People are dating out of their weight class, and they're accepting things they should not accept due to them being extremely attracted to the person. One of the most valuable things you have as a man is your ability to walk away. When people know you will walk away from something, they understand that there's a consequence to doing certain things to you. And it's not to be abused. It's just, you will not treat me incorrectly. I will not stand here and allow this to continue. I can just separate myself from this situation. So that may be a tool necessary in order to get empathy. Like, hey, I don't like the way you treat me. You don't even see me as a human. I'm cut too. If you can't acknowledge that I have pain too, then maybe I don't need to be with you. And simply be able to walk away, but don't get yourself so in love or pedestalize somebody so much you think you can't replace them. Essentially everything replaceable except your life.
That's a bar. Nelson, I got a question for you. We always talk about trauma all the time, and we talk about therapy, and I respect the people that do seek therapy, but do you think every person needs therapy, and is it a difference between when a man or a woman says it?
I think therapy is beneficial for everyone, but I think we're getting a little bit too caught up with this notion of trauma. So, I mean, trauma is by definition, it's just a deeply distressing experience. All of us have had trauma at some point in time in life. The ones that end up in therapy are the ones that actually lack resilience. So you start to see a lot of negative coping mechanisms pop up. Way people relate to people is messed up based on trauma, and in that sense, in terms of who needs it, I think it's good for everybody. The people that have mental illness need therapy. I think in order to maintain healthy relationships, it's good to have therapy, just because that's that external person to kind of bounce ideas off of, to make sure you don't go down the route of sharing information with family members or talking to your parents and like starting to get like biased information. So there's this the concept of, it's more of like it's a Christian concept of like sharing your burdens one to another. That's how we're supposed to operate in life. That's the actual real purpose of a therapist, is to share your burdens with you and to walk alongside you in it. So by that measure, it's beneficial for everyone. but you know, it's still somewhat stigmatized in our community.